Imagine being dropped into a high-stakes server room. Like the system is totally broken, the clock is ticking, and there is this massive catch.
Oh, the worst catch.
Right. You have absolutely no internet access. You cannot pull out your phone. You cannot open a browser.
You definitely cannot Google the answer.
Exactly. Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're joining us today, you are looking for a customized shortcut to mastering a really specific, highly rigorous technical challenge. And we are skipping the fluff to get right into it.
We definitely are.
Today, we're analyzing a stack of notes and documentation from the RHCSA series podcast. Specifically, we're looking at Season 2, Episode 36, which covers their episodes 26A through 50.
Right.
And our mission today is to unpack something they call Scenario 11, Secure Documentation Access.
Yeah, and to give you some context on why that scenario is just so stressful, the RHCSA, that's the Red Hat Certified System Administrator exam, it is notorious for being a purely hands-on, performance-based test.
You're not just clicking boxes on a screen.
No, not at all. You aren't sitting there answering multiple choice questions about theory. You are given a broken system or, a list of strict architectural requirements, and you have to actually build it on a live machine.
Which is terrifying.
It is. And Scenario 11 has a notoriously high difficulty rating because it tests this really tricky combination of user management, security, system configuration.
All while completely isolating you from the outside world.
Exactly.
But, before we get into the technical weeds of how to actually survive that, we have to talk about the cover art included in your source material.
Oh, the artwork. Yes.
Because it just perfectly sets the tone for the absolute weirdness and intensity of this challenge. It's this incredible image of a penguin, the classic Linux mascot, right?
Right, the penguin. But this one means business.
Totally. It's standing right in the middle of this high-tech server room, wearing a full tuxedo, complete with a bow tie, but it's also wearing flippers.
I mean, a very practical footwear choice for a server room, clearly.
Oh, obviously. And in one wing, it's holding a microphone, and in the other, this condensation-covered blue can.
It's fantastic visual, slightly surreal, but fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. But there are also some very important disclaimers slapped right on the image that we need to mention. It states clearly that the show is independent, it is not affiliated with Red Hat, and the art was generated using NotebookLM.
Yeah, they want to be very clear about that.
And the image also declares their ultimate mission, which is to pass the RHCSA exam.
Right. So it's a fun image, but the mission is incredibly serious. And Scenario 11 is designed to catch candidates off guard by setting a very specific trap.
Yes, the trap. This is the core tension of this entire deep dive. This scenario specifically traps candidates who rely solely on internet searches and rote memory, rather than relying on native system documentation.
Because you are tasked with configuring a system, but the search engine is literally just gone.
Gone.
Exactly. And before we look at a single line of code, we really have to understand the philosophy of this lab. It fundamentally changes how modern problem-solving works.
It forces a total mindset shift.
It does. Objective 1.11 of the exam is all about documentation. The exam creators are basically dictating that administrators must be able to find syntax and configuration paths natively when offline.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because relying on internet searches for system administration is essentially like using GPS to navigate your own hometown.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right, like it works perfectly fine 99% of the time.
Yeah.
You just type in where you want to go, and it guides you turn by turn. You don't even think about it.
You just follow the blue line.
Exactly. But if a massive storm hits, and the cell signal drops, and you don't actually know the street names or how the grid connects, you are entirely lost in your own backyard.
You have no idea where you are.
You need the mental map. And in this exam, the signal has dropped. You have no GPS.
What's fascinating here is that isn't just an arbitrary hurdle the exam creators invented to make your life miserable.
Right, it's not just hazing.
No, it reflects reality. If we look at high security, air-gapped environments, think military installations, critical financial infrastructure, or like top-tier research labs, the internet simply isn't an option.
You can't just hop on a forum to check a command.
Exactly. You cannot connect a secure database server to the web just because you forgot the syntax to configure a web directory. In those environments, the native manual pages, the man pages built directly into the operating system, are literally your only source of truth.
You have to know how to interrogate the machine itself to figure out how to fix the machine.
Precisely.
Which is a profound shift in mindset for most of us. Because, we are so used to outsourcing our memory to a search bar.
We all do it.
So now that we know why we are offline, How do we begin solving this scenario? The brief tells us we need to prepare a system to host a web server, but we have to do it as a designated user named web admin.
Correct.
Now, we start this scenario logged in as root, right? The ultimate administrator of the system.
We do. And the very first thing we do is intentionally limit our own power.
See, I have to pause and reason through this for a second, because root has permission to do literally everything on the machine.
Everything.
So why go through the hassle of checking for a new user, creating a new user, setting up complex passwords, and switching identities? Couldn't we just, I don't know, use our root power to install the web server and open the firewall right now and save a ton of time?
This raises an important question, and it goes right to the heart of enterprise system administration. Yes, root can do anything, but doing daily tasks as root is incredibly dangerous.
Because there's no safety net.
Right, and this ties into Objective 1.5 of the exam, which is switch users, and Objective 9.4 sudo. In a real-world enterprise, proper auditing requires executing commands as a named user.
Ah, okay, so you need a paper trail.
Precisely. Think about it. If 10 different administrators all log in directly as root and someone makes a catastrophic error that brings down the primary server.
Which happens?
It definitely happens, but the log files will just say root did it. You have absolutely no idea who actually typed the command.
It could be anyone.
Exactly, but if you force everyone to log in as their personal named account like web admin, and then they use a command like sudo to temporarily elevate their privileges, the system logs that web admin temporarily elevated their privileges to run this specific command.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So delegated privileges prevent full root access while still allowing necessary system modifications.
Yeah, it is the principle of least privilege in action.
It's totally about accountability.
Yeah.
So we have to set up this web admin account, and the sources outline a specific command chain. First, we use user-add-g wheel web admin. I know user-add creates a user, but what is that -g wheel doing?
So the -g flag adds the user to a supplementary group. And in Red Hat systems, the wheel group is a very special, historically significant group.
Okay, how so?
Anyone in the wheel group is granted sudo access, meaning they have the authority to elevate their privileges to run administrative commands. The name actually comes from the old slang phrase, big wheel, meaning, a person with a lot of power or influence.
I love that.
Yep.
So our new user is a big wheel.
They are indeed.
Then the sources show a really specific password step. We use a command called password to set the password to a very specific string, which is RHCSA at B2026. But why not just use something easy like password123 since we're just testing?
Because the system will likely stop you dead in your tracks.
Really? Just for testing?
Yes. Using a complex password isn't just a polite suggestion for good security habits. It's a technical requirement to pass PAM checks.
PAM? Okay, explain PAM to me like I'm new to this. What is it actually doing?
Sure. Think of PAM, which stands for Pluggable Authentication Modules, as the bouncer at the door of an exclusive club.
Okay, I'm with you.
It doesn't matter if you have a ticket. If you don't meet the bouncer's strict dress code, you aren't getting in. On modern Linux systems, PAM enforces password policies.
Ah, so it's checking the rules.
Exactly. It checks for minimum length, complexity, and it even checks the password against known dictionaries of easily guessable words.
Oh, wow. So it knows if you're using password123.
It totally knows. And if you try to script a user creation with a weak password, PAM will reject the password change entirely, and your whole script will fail.
So that specific password, RHCSA at B2026, works because it has all the right elements.
Yes. It includes uppercase, lowercase, special characters, and numbers to basically guarantee it gets past the bouncer.
Okay, so we've mapped the environment, created our auditable web admin user, made them a big wheel, and satisfied the PAM bouncer with a strong password. We also start up the firewall service so the system is secure.
Right. Setting the stage.
But having the user account is really only half the battle, though. Now we have to actually transition into that account. If I'm following the logic, I'd assume the next move is just to type su web admin and get to work installing the server.
You could do that, but you would fail the exam immediately.
Wait, really?
No.
Why? Su stands for substitute user, right? I'm substituting myself for the new user.
You are, but you forgot one incredibly small but massive detail from the source material.
What's that?
The hyphen.
The hyphen.
Yes. The command provided in the notes is su web admin. I literally cannot emphasize this enough. That single hyphen in the middle is absolutely critical.
You know, I have actually seen people trip over this. It's like using su without the hyphen is like putting on a chef's hat but forgetting to walk into the actual kitchen.
That is a brilliant way to look at it.
Right. Like, you might look like the chef, you might officially have the title of the chef, but your environment hasn't changed. You're still standing in the dining room, and you have none of your pots, pans, or ingredients.
That's exactly it. Technically speaking, when you use the hyphen, you are telling the operating system to simulate a full, clean login sequence for that specific user.
Okay, so it's a fresh start.
Yes. It executes their startup scripts, loads their specific badge profile, and most importantly, it loads their correct path variables.
And what exactly is a path variable doing in the background?
So a path variable is simply a list of directories the operating system checks when you type a command.
Like a map for the system.
Exactly. When you type DNF to install something, the system doesn't search the entire hard drive. I mean, that would take way too long. It only looks in the folders listed in your path.
Oh, I see.
So if you just type suwebadmin without the hyphen, your user identity changes, but you keep the environment variables, including the path of the previous user.
So you're basically wearing the chef's hat, but using the waiter's rulebook.
Exactly. And when you try to run administrative tools later, the system will look in the wrong directories and you'll get these incredibly frustrating command not found errors.
Even though you know for a fact the tool is installed.
Right. So that tiny hyphen is literally the difference between passing the exam and spending 30 minutes wondering why the machine is completely ignoring you.
Wow. Okay, so we safely crossed the threshold with our hyphen.
Right.
We are now logged in fully as web admin, standing in the correct kitchen with all the correct tools in our path. Now we need to install the web server.
Time to get to work.
Right. And the source shows us using sudo dnf install desy httpd or httpd-manual.
Yeah. We are using our delegated sudo power to run DNF, which is the package manager.
And we're grabbing two packages.
Right. We are installing HTTPD, which is the Apache web server, and HTTPD manual, which is the localized offline documentation for that server.
And that HE flag at the end.
The HE flag is just an efficiency mechanism. It automatically answers yes to all the installation prompts, so the script doesn't just pause and wait for your input.
Nice. So the tools are installed. Now comes the main event of the offline challenge.
The documentation hunt.
Yes. The exam brief requires us to find the default configuration directory for the web server, and we have to prove we found it using only the local system.
Because, again, we can't Google Apache default config path Red Hat.
Exactly. And the command chain the sources provide for this is fascinating. It's man httpd followed by a vertical bar, then grep httpd followed by a greater than sign, and then doc-proof.txt. Can you break down what is actually happening there?
This is a beautiful example of Linux pipeline architecture.
Okay, pipeline architecture.
Yeah, in Linux, everything can be treated as a stream of text. So we start with man httpd, which opens the manual page for the web server.
But manual pages can be, what, thousands of lines long?
Exactly. Reading through a technical document that size manually during a timed exam is just a terrible idea.
Right. Nobody has time for that. It would be like trying to find a specific sentence in a phone book by reading page 1, page 2, and so on.
Precisely. So we use the pipe symbol, that's the vertical bar on your keyboard, and that acts like actual plumbing.
Oh, I see.
It takes the output stream of the manual page, all those thousands of lines of text, and instead of printing it to your screen, it pipes it directly into the input stream of the next command.
Which is grep.
Yes, grep, which
Yeah.
stands for Global Regular Expression Print. It is a highly powerful search tool.
So we're telling grep to look at that massive stream of text.
And filter out everything except the lines containing the exact path HTTPD.
Wow, we're sifting the sand for the gold.
We really are. And finally, the greater than sign is called a redirection operator.
Redirection. Oh,
It takes that specific filtered line of text that grep found and redirects it to be saved into a brand new text file located in our home directory.
which we call docproof.txt.
Exactly. In one single line of code, we have interrogated the offline documentation, extracted the exact information we need, and saved it to the hard drive as proof of work.
It's incredibly elegant once you understand the plumbing, so we found the path. But installing a web server doesn't do much good if the server's locked in a vault, right? We need to allow network traffic to actually reach it.
We do.
Which brings us to Objective 8.4, securing the network perimeter. And the source gives us this command, sudo firewall cmd permanent ad service @TTP.
Right. We are calling the firewall controller, elevating our privileges again with sudo, and telling it to add the standard HTTP service.
And this command automatically knows that HTTP requires opening port 80 for web traffic.
It does. And notice we are using the permanent flag.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the source notes a pro tip right here. It specifically warns that exam candidates frequently fail this objective.
They do all the time.
And they don't fail because they use the wrong command. They fail because they forget the vital next step. Making the rule permanent isn't enough. You have to follow it immediately with sudo firewall cmd reload. Why?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of how operating systems handle memory, it actually makes perfect sense.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think about a configuration file saved on your hard drive versus the active memory, the RAM running the computer right now.
Okay, disk versus RAM.
Right. When you run the firewall command with the permanent flag, you are writing that rule to a text file on the hard drive. You are essentially leaving a sticky note for the operating system that says, hey, next time you boot up, remember to open port 80.
But it doesn't open the port right now.
Exactly. The hard drive is like a filing cabinet, and the RAM is your physical desk.
Oh, that's good.
You put the rule in the filing cabinet, but the running environment, the firewall process actively sitting at the desk, has absolutely no idea you changed that file in the cabinet.
So if the exam grader tests your machine right at that moment.
The port is still closed, and you fail the objective.
Ouch.
Yeah. So running reload tells the active firewall process to stop what it's doing, go open the filing cabinet, read that configuration file again, and apply the new rules to the current live environment.
You must reload to sync the permanent rule on the disk with the active reality in the memory.
You absolutely must.
That is such a crucial distinction. The file in the cabinet versus the reality on the desk. So we've installed the server, extracted the documentation, and successfully opened and reloaded the firewall. I mean, a lot of people might just breathe a sigh of relief and walk away at this point, assuming they nailed it.
A lot of people would.
But the next section in the sources is all about verification. Because a true professional doesn't just guess that it worked.
Never. Hope is not a strategy in enterprise system administration. You must verify.
So the source shows us running cat, lock-proof.txt. Yeah, it's short for concatenate, right? But in this context, it's just a quick command to read the contents of a file and print it to the screen.
Exactly, just a quick read.
And the expected output we're looking for is a specific sentence extracted from the manual. Set the initial value for the server root directed to server root. The default is HTTPD. Seeing that text proves our offline extraction plumbing worked perfectly.
It does. Then we have to verify the live firewall. We run sudo firewall cmd list services.
And notice we aren't looking at the permanent file in the cabinet anymore, right?
Right. We are asking the live running firewall at the desk what is actively allowing right this second.
And the expected output should list DHEPv6 client SUSH and crucially HTTP.
Yes. If a HTTP is there, we know for a fact the reload command was successful.
Which feels like a real moment to celebrate. But we aren't quite done.
Not quite.
The final phase of the sources focuses on comprehensive cleanup, or what they call zero trace. We don't just leave our beautiful new setup sitting there. First, we type exit. That closes the web admin session and drops us back into our original root shell.
You're stepping out of the kitchen and taking the chef's hat off?
Exactly. And then back as root, we run a continuous chain of teardown commands. We remove the HTTP service from the permanent firewall rules.
Right.
We reload the firewall again to shut the active port. We use ddnf remove die to completely uninstall the Apache web server and the manual packages we just downloaded. And finally, we run user del dir web admin.
The final wipe.
Now, my instinct here is to ask, why do we go to such extreme lengths to completely wipe out the user, the home directory, the software, everything? At the very end, we just did all that work. Why not just leave it?
It comes down to operational security and system hygiene. Leaving a temporary testing account like web admin lying around is a massive security risk.
Really? Even if it has a strong password?
Yes. It's a dormant, open door that an attacker could potentially discover and exploit later. Furthermore, leaving a firewall port open for a service that you just uninstalled or is no longer being actively monitored, I mean, that is practically an invitation for a breach.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about that ARR flag on the userdel command?
So, by using the AR flag with the userdel command, we don't just delete the user's name from the system registry. The AR tells the system to recursively delete their entire home directory.
Wiping out everything inside it.
Yes, wiping out the docproof.txt file, their mail spool, and any bash history files that recorded the commands they typed.
Wow. It's like we were never there.
Exactly. A professional system administrator cleans up their workspace. You leave the server exactly as secure as you found it. This zero-trace cleanup ensures that your late-night testing doesn't inadvertently become tomorrow's headline-making security vulnerability.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out from the specific technical commands, the hyphens, the grep pipes, the firewall reloads,
Yeah.
we see that Scenario 11 isn't really just about installing a web server.
Not at all.
It's an entire mindset. It's a journey that forces you to abandon the safety net of the internet. It demands that you understand the auditing importance of user separation
Yeah.
and the paper trail of least privilege.
Right, the accountability.
Yeah. It requires precision in how you navigate environments, knowing exactly when to use that critical hyphen to load your path. It forces you to grasp the physical difference between saving a rule to a disk and activating a rule in live memory. And finally, it instills the discipline of leaving zero trace behind so your solutions don't become new problems.
It really is a masterclass.
It is. This scenario is a masterclass in the exact mindset needed not just to pass the RHCSA exam, but to be a genuinely reliable engineer in the real world.
Because it builds a profound self-reliance.
Yeah.
When you master this, you aren't relying on a blog post written by someone else. You are interrogating the machine directly. You are communicating with the operating system on its own terms, using its own documentation.
Which brings up a really fascinating point to close on.
Oh.
Yeah. If the ultimate test of a master system administrator is what they can build, secure, and troubleshoot using only the knowledge stored locally on the machine, well, it makes you wonder about the rest of us.
That's a fair point.
In our daily lives, we are constantly leaning on search engines, outsourcing our memory to the cloud, and asking algorithms for the answers. What other critical problem-solving muscles might we be letting atrophy simply because we've forgotten how to read the manual ourselves?
It's a slightly scary thought.
It really is. It's definitely something to think about the next time you reflexively reach for a search bar instead of trying to map the problem out yourself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.